What up, y'all? We're back with another banger. Let's get to it. Simple. You guys are fucking running up Kalo products, maybe not finding success after testing 20 products, wasting all your money, when you could just literally follow what I tell you to do, and you can find something that brings you longevity, brings you scale, brings you good cash flow every single month. Um, you know, that's the end goal, right? We want to build equity, we want to build a brand, and we want to have consistency. So that's really how you become an ultimate Chad. And you can't just run something up and hope it just keeps going, because at that point you're not building any skills, you're just relying on luck, right? So over here we got one of my brands. I did 1.7M in the last year, and if you're new here and you don't believe me, here's some proof right there. Boom, there you go. So um, yeah. First things first, understanding your market, right? You can have the best offer, the best creative, and the best funnel, but if you're in a dead market, nothing scales. So everyone's heard of Google Trends, I'm sure. Um, it's simple. Type in your product, the ingredients, what it does, how it solves, a certain problem, and you'll be able to see on like a last 12-month span, like how much has it grown, right? Is it uptrending or is it downtrending? Pretty simple. If something's uptrending, okay, well now let's take a look into the market and see how many other people are selling to this, for this selling this product, or selling the problem that people are dealing with, right? And it just comes down to using your brain and understanding, like, is there a gap or an opportunity for me to jump in there and sell to this audience, right? So number one, needs to have a big TAM, which means total addressable market, growing, not saturated, right? So pickleball, beauty, home fitness, home wellness, pet care, and sleep and relaxation, etc. When you have a big total addressable market, you're able to really scale and hit big numbers, right? Like 100K days. We don't want to sell something that's so niche and so small, that has a very small TAM, because then we're going to limit ourselves to how much we can honestly grow and hit these big revenue days, right? Something that needs to be uptrending, preferably low competition equals better opportunity. So if you can spot something that has a big TAM, the market's growing, and the competition is somewhat low, you have a white space, you have a gap, you have an opportunity to go in there and be one of the first few people or brands to sell to this market, right? To these avatars that are dealing with these problems. Over here we got permanent desires, right? Health, confidence, relationships, and wealth. These are permanent desires, so essentially every single person in this world has these permanent desires. And health, everybody wants to be healthier. Confidence, everybody wants to have more confidence. Relationships, and wealth. So if you can pretty much sell to your avatar, to your audience, and channel these permanent desires to what they want to feel, and how your product channels that to these desires, then you're going to be able to create some really good ads and really sell and make a fuck ton of money. And then we got six, that's already said. Seven, problem-centric niches: pain, insecurity, or inconvenience. So obviously, if you're selling a product that fixes a huge pain for an avatar, you're going to print a lot of money. Insecurity, same thing, or inconvenience, right? So obviously, if someone's insecure, that goes to say that a permanent desire they're looking for is to be more confident, right? So that's a way you can honestly really speak to your customers. And then number eight, emotional reward. Customers buy identity, not utility, right? So we aren't selling the product to these people and be like, hey, here's this product, buy it. No, we have to speak to them emotionally and really understand like their problems, their pain points, their emotional triggers, um, and all that's done by doing simple research. Like you go on Amazon reviews, you go on Reddit, you go on Facebook groups, and you start to do your research, a little bit here and there. You start to see what your avatar is like dealing with, right? So you make a doc and you can put everything down from your research and start to understand exactly what your customer's like dealing with, right? Like if you start to notice, hey, like, you're seeing your customer keep saying, I felt so, I felt like disgusting. I wasn't able to really feel like myself. Okay, now like, okay, they're really insecure about, these wrinkles on their face, or, their confidence is a lot lower. So you can make these scripts, these ads, and really sell to, um, and channel those emotions onto the ad, and it's just going to make you really speak to that avatar a lot more than just being like, oh, you have this problem, here's our product, and here's this offer, boom. Like, no, that's not scalable. It's not how you make good ads, right? So, and then over here we got markets to avoid. um Clothing, fashion, with that, there's a lot of issues, sizing issues, high returns, seasonal trends. Mind you, seasonal trends can be very good because you can obviously make a bag, but I like to focus on products and markets where you can sell from January to December and print, good cash flow every single month. And then over here we got um, jewelry and accessories, oversaturated. Um, and there's really no unique mechanism when it comes to jewelry. So you're kind of just like, it's a whole different ballpark when it comes to marketing and like obviously building a brand. Something I avoid for sure, because it's like people don't need that right now. So like, why would they choose you and go spend your money when there's like 1,000 other brands selling the same thing, right? So here we got cool gadgets, fast burnout, trend chasing, no emotional core. Just don't waste your time on that. Sketchy niches, weight loss pills. I mean, hey, if you can get this to work and you don't get banned on Meta, or don't get your ads rejected, then by all means, you can try it. I know people that do print money doing this, but there's obviously like a very high risk when it comes to selling stuff like this on Meta ads. Um, Number five, commodity hell, products you can find on Amazon, Shein, or Temu, right? You're competing on price, so you really want to stay away and avoid products you find on any of these websites, because, as you go on Shein or Temu, that fucking product's going to be listed for $5, $10, right? So everyone's obviously going to choose that option rather than your brand. One-time novelty, no LTV, no brand potential. We want to focus really on selling repeat buyers, right? So we don't want to focus on one-time purchases. We want to focus on getting the repeat buyers, and that gives us huge possibilities to really sustain and grow, right? Because we're not just focusing on one-time purchases, right? So you can really outscale any competition if you see other brands that aren't running LTV, and you can come in and they're like, why is this guy not running an offer for LTV for like a subscription model? Well, now you can honestly spend more to acquire your customer, which allows you to spend more on meta ads to acquire the customer. So now you can actually spend more on ads than your competition, right? So huge loss if you don't have any LTV on your site. Super necessary, honestly, in today's day and age with how expensive ad costs are getting, right? And then here we got low emotional pain / desire. If it doesn't make their life better, easier, or more exciting, it won't sustain, right? So obviously we want to emotionally help whatever they're dealing with, and their desires are like, I want to look younger. Why do you want to look younger? So my husband can fuck look at me differently, compliment me more, stuff like that, right? And that's hitting an emotional trigger that sells. Over here we got, oh, you might be asking, well, Ben, how do I find these products? Do I need to go on Halo Data and become the first one to the product? No, you don't. Everyone's doing that for some reason, and oh yeah, you might sound genius. Oh, I'm gonna be the first to the product. I mean, like that's dead. You know, you got another 500 people that are doing the same thing that have the same idea as you. So what makes you think that you're just magically gonna be first, right? You're gonna rip those videos, upload them, and either the same night or the day after, you have another 10 brands that are ripping the exact same videos as you. So, you know, it's like that one meme where like you have like the guy with a pickaxe and he's like digging through the mines, but the thing is there's no diamonds on the other side. It's like he's just digging through mines and there's no end, right? It's just a loop and a phase you keep going through that like doesn't really, there's no ending, there's no end. So I don't know. It's a weird thing that people do these days, and I just highly advise to stay away from it, to be honest. So, you know, all you need is the Facebook ad library. All right, this is literally all you need to find products to scale to 10K a day with ease. It's free. This is what all the chads are using, like myself and everybody else I know that are doing, you know, insane numbers. It's simple. Yeah, you don't need to pay for any spy tools. It's free. You can find amazing products in very uptrending markets, and honestly, just scale to 10K days in a week. Like I know people that use the Facebook ad library and find a product, and within 2 weeks they're doing like 20, 30K days, right? Like it's honestly not that hard. So yeah. So over here, I just wanted to show you guys like a quick example of like what I mean by like an uptrending market. As you guys know, peptides are starting to become very big, and you know one thing I noticed just by searching a few things up, copper peptides are like insanely good right now, and you know the market people in the States are showing massive interest. It's on a huge uptrend, as you can see. Let's see over like the past 5 years. Let's see, or 90 days. No, that's not good enough. Like, look at that, huge uptrend, right? It's like it's at peaks right now. So taking something like this and going over to Facebook ad library, you know, you're gonna be able to see, um, you know, how many other people are selling copper peptides right now, and if they're doing good marketing, is their marketing good, is their funnels good, and all these things, you know, you can write down yourself. You can, you know, get a journal and do your research and like look at any opportunities that you find, right? Like, you know, there's so many steps to this, but like you can find it. You know, you can find these brands, you can find these avatars, and you can see, just like go on Reddit and type in copper peptide and do your market research. Understand like these avatars, right? So like if you find an avatar that's a certain age, they deal with a certain problem, whatever it is, and you know you can use your copper peptide ingredients as like the unique mechanism behind it. Now you have an opportunity, and based on your research, okay, I don't see anyone that's, you know, selling a copper peptide selling to this specific avatar. Okay, well, now you have a white space, you have a gap, you have an opportunity to then sell this product, this solution to this avatar that's, you know, dealing with this specific problem, right? So like we'll just like, let's see, copper peptides. And usually like when I test, I like to focus on stuff that's you know, in like the U.S. I like to start off with U.S. for my camps, and then obviously once I scale up, I like to bridge out to different countries. But for here, we'll just go English, um, Facebook, Instagram, media. Actually, no, we'll do that. Both active, and then we like to see stuff that's been active for like at least a month. So we'll just go back to like October 1st. So this is people, obviously brands that are still running. So assuming that they're running, that like they're doing somewhat of scale, or they're spending money on ads. I mean, most of the time, if you're spending money on ads for like over a month and your ads are still up, then most of the time, you're scaling, or you're at least break even at like high spend, right? Or whatever it is. So yeah, pretty simple there. There you go. So here's one already. So you have peptide power, nonstop performance. For some reason, I can't click on that. But yeah, see, we got 170 results. So this means that like it's a growing market, but there's not a lot of active ads. Like this is a huge potential, honestly. All right, so over here we got this one brand. I don't think this is a copper peptide itself, but I don't like what they're doing. Let's keep looking. Okay, I'm gonna come back when I find a decent brand that is selling these copper peptides, right? Give me a second. All right, y'all. After a few minutes of doing some research, I ended up finding this one brand over here. As you can see, it looks like they're doing some VSLs. But essentially, from the research I just did on copper peptides, it essentially, one, boosts your collagen, and two, why is my shit so laggy? But yeah, they're running VSLs, it looks like, and copper peptides helps out with hair loss, right? So, regrowth of your hair and stuff like that. So what I noticed is, they're selling to, they're running this one of these ads to an advertorial, right? So this is just educating the audience on like, how the unique mechanism works and how it targets the root cause, which is like very good to do. So they're selling these copper peptides, and yeah, pretty simple, but they might be running to this one specific avatar, and if you just go on Reddit and you do your research, you're gonna notice that like there's so many more avatars out there that creates a white space for you to have opportunity for you to scale. This, it can be the same product, right? As them, it can be the same product. It can be a different product, but as long as it has like the same ingredients, solves the same problem, and that creates a very good potential for you to really scale to these massive numbers, because I'm assuming it's just based off like how much of the extent they're going to with making these advertorials, these long VSLs, like they're scaling and it's doing well. So like the product works, there's demand based off Google Trends, and thirdly, now it just comes down to finding different avatars, and once you find a different avatar based off your research, you can then go to Reddit, use a new avatar, and have test out all these different angles for this avatar. And then once you find a winning angle, you can make all these different concepts for that one angle and milk the fuck out of it, right? So this is how you really scale to these big numbers, and how you do your product research. Obviously, like there's like a lot more that goes into it, when it comes to your landing pages, your funneling, your offer, and all that sort of stuff. And I go deep into that with all my students um, when the time comes, right? Like, we like to go very deep on all that. I show you really how to do the full process. I'm more or less just showing you guys briefly on, like, like the outline of it. But over here, it's simple, right? Like, if I wasn't running anything at this moment, then I'd be like wanting to test this and give this a try, right? So definitely focus on that. Um, Over here we got, so yeah, I mean, that's about it for that stuff. Um, Back to the Mount Myro board. Over here, all right, so we're back here, and once you find all that, this is some things you want to take into consideration. How do I know if a product can actually scale? Must-haves if you want to make it easier for yourself. Solves a pain or desire, physical, emotional, or social pain equals urgency, right? So like I said, if it's like confidence and they want to look more confident, they don't like going out in public, then, there's urgency for them to really buy your product so you can fix that problem and solve that desire that they're missing. Visual proof, can you show it working under 3 seconds? Why? This is mainly for your hook. Your hook is like the most important part when you make a concept and ads, because you need to capture all these high dopamine NPCs that are scrolling all day on social media, and they're not going on social media to buy anything. They're just going to get that dopamine refreshed, right? So over here, you got to really have a good scroll stopping hook, and you could do that with like Sora 2, VO3, UGC, all that sort of shit. Clear transformation, before and afters, right? Mass appeal. If you see multiple people in a lot of Reddit threads, TikTok's going crazy, Amazon reviews regarding this problem that people are dealing from your avatar research, then obviously that's a gold mine itself. Reputable angles, 5 to 10 ways to frame it, pain, ease, vanity, identity. So, obviously once you find an avatar, there's just not one way to sell to that avatar. There's multiple angles that you can approach to then sell that solution to that avatar. And then obviously ads launched within the last 2 to 3 weeks equals fresh market. So obviously if you see these brands that are selling the copper peptides and they're launching ads frequently, then it's a clear indicator that they're making money and they're scaling. So that gives you the opportunity to then be like, okay, so clearly this works. How do I find that white space in the market? You want to make sure that it's easy to film, shows motion, transformation, or emotion. You can hire some UGC creators off like Incense, and most of the time they're fucking asking like $200-300, but you can honestly just be like, oh, listen, I'll pay you $100, and if all things go well and we can see a future together, you can get them on like a monthly payroll and stuff like that to really suck them in. Because I mean, $300 is like OD for a fucking creative, for like a 20, 30, 40-second video. Like, that's retarded. Most of the time, if you pitch $100 and you want to get them on full time, if they do well with that script, then they're like, okay, whatever, sure, we'll do it for like $100. And then we got wide avatar fit. So obviously we don't want to find something that really doesn't have multiple avatars to sell to. You want to focus on a lot of potential avatars to sell to, because obviously, I mean, one avatar itself can scale to 50K days. I'll tell you that right now. One avatar with multiple angles and ad concepts around that avatar can scale to 50K days. I promise you, I've seen it. I know people that do it and tell me that. So, yeah, I mean, preferably though, sometimes obviously you will hit a cap on your avatars. So what do if you want to hit bigger numbers? Is to branch out and find other winning avatars for that product. So then you just repeat the whole process on that, new angles to this new avatar, right? So simple. And then upsell potential can bundle or cross sell easily, right? AOV boost. AOV boosting is huge because obviously, your campaign might not be at the CPA target it's at, but you can see on a blended ROAS level over like 7 days, damn, my AOV is high, right? Like I'm selling a product for $30, but on average, my AOV is like 60. So now it gives you this much extra spend where you can honestly increase your budgets and still sustain that target ROAS, right? So yeah, I mean, pretty simple. This is really the best way to go about it. Like I said earlier, it's not, it's not hard, but it's not easy. It's a different way to approach things, but if you really lock in and you do the work, you're gonna see a difference when it comes to your product testing. Don't run something for like a few days and it's not doing well, I'm just gonna cut it and move on. You're just in that fucking loop and you're never gonna, see the results you want to hit. So yeah, I mean, that's really it. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment down below. I go way more in depth with my one-on-one students, so there will be a link down below if you guys want to apply. I do only take on a few students at once. I am super busy with my brands in Q4 right now. So yeah, I mean, you could book a call down below. If you qualify, great. We can hop on a call and go from there. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions regarding, another YouTube video on what you want to see, just let me know down below. That's about that. Hope you guys do well and, really take this video into consideration because, all it takes is to follow these fundamentals and you're going to see a massive difference with how you run a business, right? We're not just here to run something and it dies off in a week. We want to build sustainability, and with that comes actually putting in the work, right? So, yeah,